Hi guys, welcome back to Elemental Therapy. This is Anya Deva, and today I'd like to talk about how to take Psilocybe Cubensis mushrooms, or also known as magic mushrooms, and basically how to have the most beneficial and productive trip. I don't want to talk about why to take them because there are lots of clinical studies has been done recently. You can do your own research. I recommend podcasts with Paul Stamets, for example, who talks about neurogenesis and neuroplasticity that is being promoted by taking magic mushrooms. Basically, it's like regeneration of brain cells and how mushrooms or psilocybin mushrooms help to create the new connections in the brain and basically destroy the one that doesn't serve you anymore. I don't think his ideas are too far-fetched. He takes mushrooms on a regular basis, and I think he channels lots of information. Lots of people take mushrooms because they're looking for fun times, fun. And it is fun to take mushrooms just because it's a very powerful medicine that actually opens our channels of high perception. So, for example, clairsentience. You become very sensitive and you can feel so much more. You can feel that oneness, you can feel the energy around you. Clairvoyance, right? You can see better, like you see all the colors, again, you see the energy, right? Clairsentience, clairaudience, where you hear everything. You can hear sort of, if you're in the silence, then you can hear your own, that celestial music, or your own music of your soul. However, if you go to a big concert where it's a sensory overload with all this loud music, with all these colors, with the laser show, then it can become a really freaky experience. Basically, it's just too much. So mushrooms are opening us up to the world, and that's why this property has to be used in the correct way. Otherwise, a traumatic experience might happen. As a healer and as a shaman, I have lots of experience with mushrooms. I take them myself as a medicine that allows me to heal, because I cannot heal others if I don't heal myself, right? In my own experience, what happened is it's like almost like a birth to your higher self. When the baby is born, the cervix dilates from the size of the blueberry to all the way to the cantaloupe, right? So the same thing happens when you take psilocybin mushrooms. Basically, there's a dilation of crown chakra happens, and that allows, and the third eye. And so that opening allows a more light from your higher self to shine upon you. And it has to be a gradual process, because in my experience, we're not ready to receive all the light of this divine presence just yet. It has to be a practice. That's why, like, practicing yoga and meditation should be combined with taking mushrooms, because mushrooms open up the channels, they clear the channels, they help you to heal. But then the regular everyday practice should be to keep maintaining these channels and gradually and slowly through practice open them up. And living in light in this present life, in this time-space dimension, is so much fun, and it's so much more joyful, and it's so much easier than being closed off. And what's blocking that light is basically our busy mind. Mushrooms help you to go beyond the mind, which in regular practice people don't often do that, right? But the desire, our internal desire to experience our God self, is so strong that people would go to any lengths in order to meet their own divine self. It's our primordial desire to connect to our divine, and that's why it's one of the basic needs of people to experience themselves out of body, because there we and out of mind, because there we meet our true self. And that thirst, that yearning for God, is one probably the strongest human needs that has to be fulfilled. That's why people go to church. That's why church is so strong, even though I do believe that people should have ability to experience God directly, and not through some church or religion, where the religions say, okay, you can experience God, but only through me, and my way is the only way. No. What psychedelic experience, using mushrooms, ayahuasca, and other plants of power does, it allows you to experience your God self directly. The symbol of a third eye is a crescent moon. So really it's a valve that gradually has to be opening to the size of the full moon to allow all that light in. And many of us, we're not ready to receive all that light all at once, because in my experience, it's just, it feels like my brain gonna get fried and all my being gonna get fried, because that light is so powerful that I'm just not ready for it. It's just like doing detox all at once. You know, you can die if you do lots of detox at once. It has to be a gradual process. The same thing, bringing the light into your being has to be a gradual process. Magic mushrooms, basically they stimulate Kundalini energy in our body, that primordial energy that's seated or rooted in a Muladhara chakra, or the root chakra. And it's interesting that the baby is born in the physical world through that root chakra, right? Through dilation of cervix. And then we're born to our higher selves through Sahasrara chakra. It's a dilation of the top of the crown, right? So it's a very similar process. And Muladhara and Sahasrara, these two chakras, they are the pairs. They depend on each other, they balance each other. When Kundalini energy is awakening, basically, in my own experience, I'll describe my own experience. First, you feel this warmth in the area of a lower body, right? This, your sacrum. Sacrum means sacred, right? It's like triangle. It's a symbol of Shakti, Shakti energy. Shakti is the energy in motion. Shiva is the energy in stillness. Shiva is pure consciousness. Shakti or Kundalini is pure energy. And Kundalini exists in every atom, in every cell, in everything that's alive, and everything in this universe. A created universe. So created universe is the body of the Shakti, right? So now we experience the very essence of Shakti in us through that motion of Kundalini. And so as it goes, it pierces all of the chakras, purifying them. So at first you'll feel, when it pierces the second chakra, you might feel sexual arousal. The third chakra, the fire energy, you might feel this joy of being, right? When it pierces your heart, you might feel your heart is opening and you feel all this love that's being unlocked from your heart. And Kundalini basically melts all that armor that we create around us to protect our heart from being broken. So it all melts away and you feel that abundant love that you possess all the time. Then it goes into the Vishuddha chakra, which is self-expression, right? Verbal self-expression. Then it pierces the third eye, and that's when we start to see visions. This is when our brains start to get activated, and on the Sahasrara chakra we might leave the body. It depends how much you take, and how strong of an experience that you're looking for. But basically here we realize our higher selves. This is where the opening happens, and we experience that light coming down on us, right? So this is where the Shakti meets Shiva, where the energy meets pure consciousness, and we feel like we are integral part of all being. We might experience ourselves as God. We feel like we're connected to everything. We can hear and understand the whispers of flowers. We can see how trees grow. We see the magnificence of the universe. And so this is the experience that properly done magic mushroom trip or ritual should lead you to. Now I want to talk a little bit about a bad trip and how to avoid it. Basically, when Kundalini reaches the third eye and the Vishuddha, you might experience ego death. Ego or ego mind. Ego is what separates you from everything else, so you can feel yourself as a separate individual. During the trip, that veil might collapse so that you can experience oneness, and that feels like death. It's like a death of I. You might experience that I in the higher levels don't exist. We all one. It's all one energy, right? But that agonizing, it might be agonizing process when the mind being like dying, it start to become like, it start to panic. It start to create all these horrible visions, and all these emotions, terrible emotions might come out. Which is a healing process, by the way. So don't identify yourself with your mind. Watch your mind agonizing and making all these terrible visions, and just know that they are just visions. They're just creation of the mind. They are not real. Your real self lies beyond mind, but us, through identification ourselves with our mind, we get trapped in that level, and this is what creates this blockage. Another aspect of the tripping is that it's a very healing process, as I mentioned before, and so it will allow you to get rid of all that emotional pain that we hold in our body. So through taking Psilocybe Cubensis, even microdosing, we can slowly release all this baggage of negative emotions, mostly fear, also anger, all the negative beliefs about ourselves that create that emotional pain that is stored in our body, which leads to chronic diseases, right? If we hold fear, lots of fear in our heart, we're going to end up having heart diseases and etc. We hold this pain in many different places. I have the whole video dedicated to the healing properties of that emotional healing, right? So you might feel these emotions rising, but don't freak out. Don't identify yourself with your emotions. Your emotions are not you. Let them pass, and by feeling them, you can get rid of them. The only way to get rid of all that fear and the baggage that you hold in your body, and with age you accumulate more and more, and then body start to break down, and that's why we get so sick when we get older. Little by little, feel all that you carry, and it can be really, really intense, but just let that tsunami, that huge wave of emotions come over you, and it passes, and it passes. It feels like this huge tsunami that's going to destroy you, but no. Let it just pass. Don't identify. And when the emotion arises, again, your mind might create some horrible visions, which again are not real. So stay strong, stay connected to your true self. Just observe your trip, observe yourself, and observe what's happening with you. And eventually, when all the kind of like painful process, which only might take 15-20 minutes, but it might feel like infinity, when eventually it passes, then you will be able to connect to your higher self, and you will see the light and love that you are made of, and we are all made out of. Now I want to talk a little bit about a ritual. First of all, if you take mushrooms for first time, I recommend taking it by yourself, because really it's a date with your higher self. You do it because you want to meet yourself, and you don't want to be distracted by somebody else's issues or loud music or any of this external stimuli. So create a safe space for yourself to go through the sacred ritual. First of all, get yourself comfortable, make sure your place is very safe, make sure that you have time, nobody will disturb you, you're not waiting for anybody to come, so you can really, really relax. And then invoke your guardian angels, and perhaps pray to your ancestors, and perhaps invoke the spirits of the great healers and shamans of this land where you are. Again, the ancestors and the spirit of the land, and maybe you want to invoke the spirit of the elements and of your corresponding chakras, the earth, the mother earth, right? The water, the element of water, the fire, the air, the space, right? And the highest consciousness to be present and to assist you in your healing work. I recommend using a candlelight in a safe glass, that you don't have to worry that something will get in fire. But this entity, the Agni, it represents the higher self, right? It's the light of the higher self. So it will assist you. Its spirit will assist you in connecting you to your internal light, in your heart, in your mind, and in your body. I use sometimes also the sound bowls, because this vibration is just so purifying, and we all vibration. You can use your favorite crystals. I wear my crystal right here. So say a prayer, whatever is sacred to you, invoke those spirits to assist you in your journey. So it doesn't have to be any complicated ritual, a very simple invocation and a prayer. Creating your sacred space so you feel safe. That's number one. Survival is number one. When I worked with shamans, they told me that if you don't feel safe, like during ayahuasca ceremony, for example, you won't be able to go through the experience, because the survival comes first. The Muladhara, the base chakra, is first. Your body always wants to survive. So that has to be completely taken care of. That's why you have to be in a safe place. If you're not in a safe place, do not take mushrooms, do not take psychedelics, because it's going to be a terrible experience. You don't want to endanger yourself. You'll go directly in survival, and you're going to panic, and it's going to be bad. So safe environment. Next step, you want to relax and completely surrender to the medicine. You don't want to fight the medicine. Your mind might want to fight the experience because it doesn't want to die, the ego death, remember? So you have to be beyond your mind, surrender, and just watch and just observe. And you will see so much more than you have ever expected. And you will learn, and you will receive the most profound, deep, and simple answers about who you truly are, what your mission is, or it might be just a healing of your body. Or maybe it could be just an emotional healing. You will get rid of some of this emotional baggage. Every time it's different, and it depends on the type of the mushrooms, it depends on the dosage of the mushroom, and then it depends on your goal, on your mission, on your intention. So creating an intention before, is one of the good things that I advise. But sometimes it's just also good just to take mushroom and let the medicine take you where you need to go the most, what you need to heal the most. So trusting the medicine and trusting yourself. I recommend not eating any meat at least a day prior to your experience, just because meat kind of blocks. It's a heavy food, and it can block the passage of Kundalini, so it can be like you might feel bloated, or your stomach might hurt. If your stomach is kind of empty mostly, then it's much easier on your body. You won't feel so much nausea. Some people feel nausea, but it's just because they didn't clean enough. And a little bit of nausea is actually okay. And if some people actually vomit, But again, the vomiting, when I work with shamans, they agreed with that too, that it's like you're vomiting whatever the energetical garbage that you have. So it's like a purging or of some toxins, not only body toxins, but mental and emotional toxins of your body. So it's all good. If you need purging, go ahead and purge. But if you clear yourself before the ritual and before the experience, you won't have to do that. You won't need to do that because you already, kept yourself pretty clean. I like to take mushrooms, even if it's microdosing, with a piece of dark chocolate. It helps to activate the brain functions, and it kind of helps to deliver the psilocybin to the cells a little bit faster. I sometimes also combine psilocybin with mushrooms with lion's mane, and because lion's mane promote good mental function as well, like healthy brain, because brain is not only just for thinking. Brain controls, it's like a control center of everything, the body, but also it has the doorway to your higher self. So those very sensitive areas of the brain that's being stimulated while you take mushrooms, and which we usually don't use, are also part of the brain. So cherish your brain, I would say, take care of it. It has all the functions from very spiritual to very basic that you need and you have here on earth and beyond. Make sure you have a glass of water by your side, because you might not want to get up, because mushrooms are muscle relaxers, so you will feel very relaxed. I recommend just laying and enjoying your experience and going to your experience. So you might get thirsty, so it's very useful. Make sure you have that glass of water right next to you. Do not drink any alcohol. Alcohol destroys brain cells, and here we're activating new connections in the brain, so it's kind of like counterproductive. If you want to get just fucked up, then, well, go ahead. You have your free will to do whatever you want. But anyways, I recommend this book, The Psychedelic Explorer's Guide, Safe, Therapeutic, and Sacred Journeys, for people who've never experienced any type of psychedelics before. This is a very useful book. It tells you different methods and their experiences of many different people and their practices. So it's good to prepare yourself before you take any of this sacred medicine. All right, well, thank you for watching. Enjoy your trip, safe tripping, and I'll see you later. And you will be a more enlightened being after I see you again, I'm sure. Bye.